Um, yes. Okay. Great. Yes, we have everything set up and going. Okay. Hi, Claire. Thank you so much for coming online and doing the interview with us. I know with your busy schedule and taking our time to that. That's really, really great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Nice to be here.
Can you tell us, start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you live, your just basic life routine?
That's so difficult. So I'm based in the UK because I know Saga fiction is international, so I'm in the UK. I live currently in a place called Newark-on-Trent, and that's near, for many people might know, Robin Hood.
Yes.
Near Sherwood Forest. So people might know Robin Hood. So Newark is very well known for the Civil War. And we have a nice old castle and a museum and all sorts of things. So I've lived here about 12 years, I think now. So
that's a long time.
Yeah. And previous to that, I lived in a place called Derby. I've lived in a place called York. I've lived in the Yorkshire Dales. So I've moved around the UK a little bit.
Wow, that's amazing. Lots of inspiration, I must say.
That's it. Yeah. Someone just says, "Do you fancy moving?" I say, "Yeah." Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens.
Wow, but that's really nice. So you've been always in the countryside and sort of in a more calmer, peaceful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm originally from Wakefield, which is a big city.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, near Leeds, and we moved up to a small village, which wasn't really for me. It's a beautiful place, but it wasn't really for me. So then I moved to York, where I lived for a few years. But I've always sort of lived on the outskirts of places, because as much as I love the hustle and bustle, I like to live somewhere quiet. I like peace and quiet at night.
Yes. I think that's what I love about the English countryside. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful, and we're so lucky here because you don't have to go far before you're in the countryside and the hills, and the coast is only
correct
an hour and a half from here to the coast. So yeah.
Oh, wow, that's lovely. Sounds very sounds like a perfect setting for a romance novel.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay, that's great. I think moving on, I would like to ask you about you as an author. How did you become an author? What was your inspiration? How do you draw inspiration for your writing and things?
Well, I'm pretty much probably like everybody else who always thinks they've got a novel in them. So you sort of think, can I write a book? I've always read loads, I've always loved to read. And then it wasn't till 2018 when I actually entered A Night Lost to the Past.
Okay, wow.
About in a little bit into a competition, and then from there I won third place in the competition, and then from there it just inspired me to start writing. And I thought, there's obviously, I'm not too bad at it. Place third, so.
Great, my honest opinion. I love your writing.
So so then that moved on, and I wrote a psychological thriller very quickly. I wrote that in about a month.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And then, I think I don't know if I don't want to come over as being arrogant, because I know a lot of people really struggle to write, but I think because I sort of opened a tap and then it just flooded out. Yeah, and all the stories just appear. I'm so lucky. I'm touching wood, because I've never had writer's block, and the stories just come. So I basically that started my writing journey, and I haven't stopped.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, and especially to just have everything flow so quickly and so effortlessly. That's quite good.
I am very grateful. I'm very grateful when I hear of people really struggling. I can only imagine how difficult it is, especially if you've got a deadline.
Definitely.
Yeah,
correct. But no, it's been, I think that's the best part of writing, where you can just sort of sit and pour your heart out.
That's it. Yeah, I love it. It's so inspiring to be able to write, because I never thought I could write a whole novel, because writing 60, 70 and more, depending on what genre you're writing in, to write that many words is...
It is a task. I mean, it's not for everyone. Sometimes some people just prefer writing short fiction throughout their careers and lifetimes. So yeah, definitely.
Because I thought, well, how can I make this story? I've got this idea. How can I sort of string it out, if you like, to
make it that long?
You know, this happened, the end.
Yes,
definitely. 9 to 70,000 words. So, yeah.
Yes. Which actually brings me to the next question, which is the genres. So, what genres do you prefer to read and then to write in? Like, is there any specific that you have?
Well, I think they're both very similar. I will read anything and everything, and I will write anything and everything. So I can read a horror one day, the next day I'll read a romance, and then I'll go on to a sci-fi, then I'll go into fantasy. I love reading all sorts of books, and that's probably why I think I don't stick to just one. I think I just enjoy reading and writing anything, and often I don't really get any say in it, because the characters decide what I'm going to write. And
yes, correct. Your bio says that you let your characters do all the storytelling for you.
That's right, because I once remember watching an author talk, and the author said, well, the characters decided. And I thought, that's nonsense. How can a character decide your story? That's you're writing it. Why don't you decide what's going to happen?
Correct.
They're just someone on a page. You're the author of it. But yeah, I quickly found out that the characters are the boss. And
so how does that work? Like, what is the process? Do you, when you sit to write, do you think up a character first and then sort of have them tell their story, or how does that work?
No, often they're just sort of there. I don't know. It's very odd. So because I've never been a planner. I've had to become a little bit of a planner just because of writing deadlines.
Yes.
But I've never been a planner. I don't know, the idea's there. I open my laptop, start typing, and it's there. And it's...
Wow, that sounds magical.
Yeah, it is. And I don't really know. I think it comes from... It's just everything, isn't it? Everyone's aware. You go out, you see a little snippet, or you hear a conversation.
Yes, that's right.
Figures something.
One
thing I will say is I don't like reading the genre I'm currently writing in. So if I'm writing romance, I won't read romance. I'll read something completely different. Because I panic that literally I'm going to copy it.
Correct. Yes, that's
no, read horror. Right.
Definitely. I mean, I can see how, sometimes when you're writing romance and if you're reading romance, sometimes you just sort of imbibe phrases and they reflect in your writing. That's
it, yeah.
Very natural.
Because it'd be so mortifying for someone to say, I mean, it'd be an amazing talent for me to have remembered it word by word. Written it word by word. But it's like, you do worry that you've stolen something from someone. And it really didn't mean so. Yeah.
Gosh, no, I think, remembering word by word. I mean, even if I've read a book, at least there are books that I've read, 50, 60 times. But I mean, I don't think I can still recollect each phrase. Yeah. That's not happening.
I'll be okay.
Yeah.
That's your job to check anyway when you edit it. That'll be.
Yes.
I'll just blame you.
Yes. I mean, no complaints from anybody. I think I liked, especially I think with your works and editing, A Night Lost to the Past it was so much fun and so quick and easy. Like, I think it was a very, very nice, quick story that I could quickly, and especially for reading it as episodes.
Yeah.
It was great. And
I like that as I like to say, I like all types of reading all types of books, but for me, I don't want too much description as a reader. I don't need a lot of description.
Correct.
I prefer the story to move on.
Correct, right. That's right.
And I'll make up the rest.
Which is, I think, which is fair enough. Like, especially, I think readers nowadays prefer something with more story and less description, like more plot, essentially.
Yeah.
So, definitely. That's well. And I think we can start talking about your book, Night Lost to the Past, which is, do you want to tell us a little bit about it? Where did you get inspired from? And, because I know you live in New York and it's based in New York about the Civil War. So.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, this all came about when I entered a competition for my local writing group.
Yes, that's right.
And that was the premise of that was to write a historical related story.
Okay.
And I just sort of came up with the idea of these three friends that went on a night out and went to my favourite pub, one of my favourite pubs in the Prince Rupert.
Yeah.
And then they went into the castle, and because there's such a strong link with the Civil War in Newark, I thought, wouldn't it be great if something happened when they went in there? And I love mystery, time travel, all that, all those kinds of books. So, so the unexpected happens when they, and rightly so, because they broke into the castle and you shouldn't do things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So any of this inspired by a real life incident, maybe
going in the pub, get inspiration from there. But no, I've never broken into anywhere. So it's definitely not based on real life going out and breaking into anywhere.
Yes. No, definitely. Oh gosh, that's but I mean the premise of the book is very, very interesting because it talks about three friends. So, and it brings in the whole concept of three musketeers as well, which I found, which was it was great. And the personalities, the characters of the three friends are so because even if it's just 10 episodes of about 1,000 words each.
Okay.
And even in that, I mean, the characters come out so well because we have distinct characteristics of everyone, of Pete, Rick, and Ben, and how they deal with a situation coming out. So I think that was great. Maybe
some of that, I would imagine some of that has sort of reflected from some maybe different personalities of different friends that I know. I won't pick just one of them. I'll mix a little bit in because then they can't,
Yes, then they can't identify, this is me or this is
Yeah, it's a little mix.
Yeah. Do you tell your friends that, they were an inspiration for your book?
Well, as soon as everyone knows you're right, they want you to put them in the book. But like, can you put me in the book? And but that's really difficult because, you could get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, because you'll write from your perspective and then you don't want to write anything bad.
Yeah. And like I say, the characters, you might have something in mind, but then they take over and become a personality to them. So if you say, yes, I'm going to base this person on you, and then they turn out to be absolutely horrendous, then you can, you can have awkward conversations with your friends.
Oh my gosh, that's geez, I can imagine that conversation not going down well at all.
No, no, I don't want that. So any of my friends listening, they're not based on you. They're a mixture.
Oh
Awful
God.
license to do what you like.
Yes, but that's great. And what about? I know you have written another book for us, A Christmas Wish, and we have 4 more titles coming up from you, which is very, very exciting.
Yes, we're not been writing this morning.
Yes, I saw your Instagram post.
Yes, over 10,000.
I mean, you write so quickly. Sometimes for me to catch up, it takes a bit.
Yeah, I know. That's why I always say to people, don't judge yourself by me, because I just write really quickly. But I always say to people, at the end of the day, my work requires much more editing than anyone else's, because I write so quickly. So they might take a bit longer, but theirs probably needs less editing.
I wouldn't. Being your editor, I don't think so. I mean, not really. I had a fun time editing your books, so it was fine. But yes, maybe you can tell us a little bit about A Christmas Wish as well, and some of the other upcoming titles. Are you excited for those launching?
Yes, I am. Yes, I mean, A Christmas Wish I really enjoy, because I love Christmas.
Yes.
Everybody that knows me, look, I've even got a Christmas tree.
Wow.
So I love Christmas. So it was really inevitable that I was going to write a Christmas story. And actually, I'm sure it was this one that that I was asked to write a Christmas story. Actually, if I remember rightly, when you have to delve back into your brain, it was I'd written a horror one first.
Oh, yes.
My auntie is in a nursing home, and one of her friends read the book, and he said, "Can you write something nicer than a horror book?"
Oh my gosh.
He read it and it was really nice, but he wanted a nicer book, so that I'm sure that's how A Christmas Wish came about, as well as me wanting to write it. It was George from my auntie's nursing home.
Wow, I think you should tell him, thank you for that push.
Yeah, right, the nicer book, yeah. Right, some nicer spirits. I think that was the thing, because in the horror one, obviously, they weren't so nice. Grandma, I loved writing Grandma in A Christmas Wish.
Yes, oh my gosh. I think it's a perfect Christmas tale to curl up with nice cup of hot chocolate. And
I really, really enjoyed writing that one. I enjoyed sort of the different personalities of the characters in there as well, and the whole, because a Christmas story needs a feel good factor to it. That's I want to curl up with a nice story where a few things happen, and but ultimately you get that nice feeling.
Yep. Definitely. I completely agree. Right. Yeah. A little bit maybe about the editing process. Do you think going through the editing process was did the structure and plot change a lot? Like, I know I recommended adding a couple of episodes and maybe adding a couple of descriptions. So what was your thought process when it came to seeing the edits?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, but when I first started writing, I used to get friends, etc., who had experience to edit my work for me. Correct. And you have to develop a thick skin very quickly if you want honest feedback.
Yes, definitely.
And I always ask for brutal feedback. I don't mind if it makes the story better, then tell me and we'll work it out. And I think I think for us, you understand my stories very quickly and what I want to do with them, and your suggestions are only to make it better.
And thank you.
I think if you're working together to make it the best story it can be, then there's no there's no reason to be upset or, you know, have that, because we had a couple of things, didn't we, where we you suggested things and I said, oh well, maybe we'll do this, and then you said the same. So, you know, it was a really nice way to edit it, because, and I think the stories are so much stronger for the fact that you've edited them and, you know, added those little extras.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I mean, I think definitely a working relationship between an author and editor is just so important, because if the editor doesn't understand what the story is about, it sometimes, you know, it doesn't work well. But
That's
I
right.
think, yeah, we had a great relationship where
Yeah.
the editor, the process was so smooth and so simple.
Yeah.
Like it was great.
Yeah. That's why I like. See, I don't like. I just want to write the next thing. So, you know, I just, as soon as I get the edits back, I'm like, accept.
Wow. Yeah, I think
a little bit that, you know, that need to add, but yeah, because I trust you to know what you're doing and make it the best it can be. So that's a different skill to writing.
yeah,
A much different. It's a different skill,
definitely.
and I don't have that skill to edit in that way.
I think, I mean, it depends sometimes, because for me as well, it works. Like if I write, I hate editing my own work. It's just, it's too painful.
It is very painful. And you don't see things. You can read it so many times,
Yes.
and someone else will look at it and they'll point something so obvious out, and like, how did I miss that? So there does come a point when you've got to give it to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and
You
just
know,
to have a fresh look and sort of be outside of the perspective that you're coming from. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about how the plot of Night Lost to the Past changed in the editorial process? Like things that you added, things that, or some research that you might have done, because I know I saw a lot of research.
I headed to this. Luckily, we have a Civil War museum in Newark, so I headed there one day with my notes from, I think it was a little bit more detail and a little bit more dialogue, wasn't it? That we were sort of adding in there in the story, a little bit more detail about the past and where they were.
Yes,
and so I went to the Civil War Museum and had a wander around looking at all the costumes and the little objects in there, just to get a feel for it, and read obviously some of their information. And then sort of sat down and made notes on certain points and did a bit of research on, you know, what some of the uniforms would have looked like and things like that, to just sort of build. Like I said, I don't like to go into too much detail, but I think you can put a little bit of detail in and it goes a long way, if you like, in the terms of the reader then building.
Right, correct.
Yes, definitely. But it was nice the story needed those extra details, I think, from the past, just because people might not know.
Yes, definitely. Just to establish that, you know, they're actually in the past, and to have that difference in. And I mean, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but because
that's a really hard part of saying, sort of reading, you know, can you give us some details? I don't really want to give anything away, so, you know, just read it and then.
I'm curious about so many things, just about the characters and a little bit of the plot line, because, well, one of the characters sort of comes back, so
yeah,
and I mean, the three musketeers sort of get separated, which was a sad moment for me. But I mean, I really wanted to know what happened to Ben in that year. Like, how did he deal?
I know. Well, I'd always had in my mind, because so the story originated as a short story for a competition.
Correct.
Then I started writing a blog, and then because a few people wanted to know more about the story.
Yeah.
So I would release that each week with a few more episodes. And my intention was always to make it into a novel. I really wanted to go into that much detail, but time sort of never allowed me to sort of go back and do that. But I certainly have another book which I've written perhaps 3,000 words for, which is linked to A Night Lost to the Past.
Oh wow, I need to read that one. Claire, you never told me.
I know, because you're going to ask me to write it then, and then I haven't got time.
I'm anyways going to ask you to write it.
So that one, it started off with that's a new character, but the three friends are in the story.
Oh my god, I need to read this now.
You learn a little bit more about them, but I thought that's, I think, going to be a trilogy, so that's why I've not done any more with it. I tend to, if I have an idea for a story, I write about 2,000 to 3,000 words, because it's the only way I can get it out of my head.
Yes.
And then it just sits on my computer until.
Wow, that's a neat trick. I mean, just to sort of get it down, sort of have a brief idea or a brief plot, and then expand on it if you'd like. I mean,
yeah. I've got way too many of them on my computer.
Wow, I'd love to hear all about the other plots as well, for sure.
But yeah, so, and then the other stories I've sent over that you're currently editing at the moment. So some of them are a little bit different, sort of more romance.
Yes. We have a good mix coming from you. We have some thrillers, mystery, and a lot of like contemporary chick-lit romance, which is great.
So hopefully, we've got to get those edited and
out soon for readers.
Get the other one done and then move on, because I have a fantasy series and I want to get that finished. So.
Yes, that's right. That's great. And I think lastly, we can wrap up with me asking you about one of the other books that you'd like to read on the Saga Fiction app, anything that you've already read that you really liked, or anything you have your eyes on for later.
Thank you. I think you've done very well with your selection.
Thank you. Oh, God.
It's going to keep me very busy. I think the more I see on social media as well and get to know sort of the authors and the books and the teasers, I'm thinking, oh, that's brilliant. That's another one I'm going to have after all to be read.
Yeah, I hope we've made it. You have a long TBR on the app, which you can like bookmark and keep all of those.
And I've started an episode by D.K. Johnson, Saved Dark Devotion, so I've started that. And the other one, just because of the cover, Black Cat.
Yes.
Cover's amazing. Yeah, with the eyes.
Yes. That is also actually, that's an amazing, it's a very fascinating, romantic fantasy story.
It really appeals to me, because like I say, I like to read all sorts of different genres. So I'm looking forward to them. But I mean, there's an amazing lineup of books on there for people. So hopefully something for everybody.
Yes.
And all people like me who read everything.
Yes, there's a little something for everybody, and for people like you who read everything.
So I'm looking forward to getting there. Sort of as soon as I've finished writing this book, then I'm gonna have maybe a few weeks off, and then get some more reading done.
Yes, definitely. We would love your feedback, any reviews, comments on the app. All welcome.
Because it's interesting then on there that you can leave those direct and also comment. Is that, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Is that going to be something that you're gonna have the authors reply to and build?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. I mean, we're looking to have a more vibrant community. So, somewhere where right now it's just me asking you the questions. Hopefully, down the line we'll have some of the readers asking you questions which you can actually reply to in the app.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's so nice because often, you can leave reviews, but you
can't sort of reply or comment or say anything back. Yeah, definitely. I think we want to bring back the days where readers used to send like fan letters to authors.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So it's just digital, but I'm sure you'll get a lot of fan letters coming your way.
Don't know about that.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much, Claire, for doing this interview and telling us all about your writing process and your books. We're so excited to have you on board, and hopefully readers will enjoy all your titles. And
and if you've got any questions, then feel free to ask and I will try and answer them.
Yes, you're available on Instagram as well as Twitter, and we'll be tagging your handle. So if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to you.
That's the plan. Yes, I will. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. Because I'm an author and that's what we do. So.
Yes, that's right. That's great. Thank you, Claire.
No problem. Lovely to see you.